Hello, my name is Lori Morrow, and we're putting together this show for the information to our residents. We're going to be presenting 3 out of the 5 candidates who are running for Lakewood Town Council. The people who are running, and I wanted to say all of their names, is Mayor Ray Coles, Jimmy Esposito, Deborah Fuentes, Bruce Stern, and Herskowitz. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Herskowitz. And 2 of the 5 candidates have declined to participate. They have been notified, as all the others were, with no response. So that is Deborah Fuentes and Bruce Stern. They will not be appearing on this show, but the other 3 candidates were eager to come and talk to us and tell us who they are and what they're about. So all 5 candidates were contacted by email. You were probably one of the first to answer me. This is Herskowitz, and welcome. So when we talked on the phone, you expressed that it would be difficult to keep you to the 10-minute maximum that we're allowing all candidates.
Oh, yeah.
So what I decided to do is change the format up a little bit and come up with questions, and I'm going to do that for all 3 candidates. And I think the questions, your responses will get to the center of your campaign.
And you'll cut me short if I...
And yes, I'm going to cut you right off.
I will go on for a while.
Okay. So you got into the Lakewood Town Council race a little late. In April, you had left a video online saying that you were declining to run. And then you filed to be on the ballot in June. So can you tell us why you waited and then why you decided to run?
I ran previously. I don't know if people know that my history is... I ran 13 years ago in a very, very contentious campaign against Bob Singer, who was on the Township committee, and he is a senator as well. I saw what was coming 13 years ago in Lakewood because I had gone to a lot of the master plan meetings for that they were planning on what Lakewood's going to become. And I heard them talking about what they wanted Lakewood to be, and I didn't think that was what Lakewood should be. They were trying to say how Lakewood's going to be a city of 250,000 people, and I'm a big fan of Jane Jacobs, and I've read her books. She was a planner, and I know the history of Jane Jacobs and the planning of New York City and all these things, and I just saw a disaster coming. So I decided to speak up, and nobody listened and nobody cared. So I decided I'm going to run for a township committee, and I'll try to influence the township committee then. Okay. So I ran, and I lost by only 450 votes. And the reason is because I was only able to reach out to the Jewish community. I wasn't able to reach out to the community at large.
Speaking of that, you seem to be a rebel in your religious community. You're against major development. Wait, let me finish my question. You're against major development. You're against community leaders kind of going far and wide to add to the Lakewood population. I mean, I listened to some of your videos, and this is what I'm getting out of them anyway.
Right.
And you're against pushing through building more complexes without the transparency and input from studies and Lakewood residents.
Correct.
So what has made you such a rebel?
I wouldn't call me a rebel. I would just say that, I became sort of well-known because I was willing to put my name on things. So what I was saying was no different than what hundreds of people were saying anonymously on blogs, and they were writing the same exact thing that I was expressing. And the proof is that I got, in some parts of the Jewish community, I got 85% of the vote, 90% of the vote, even though the VOD, who was at the time the people who give the suggestions to the community who to vote for, were, gung-ho, writing, putting out leaflets and spending thousands of dollars to fight me, to make me lose. And I got most of the vote. Where I didn't get the vote was, I think in Leisure Village, I think I got 4 votes. Because the people didn't know, they look on the ballot, Herskowitz, they didn't know who that was.
What year was that?
2010.
2010, okay.
And the election was quite dramatic. My mother passed away 2 days before the election. She got sick 6 weeks before the election, so I wasn't really campaigning much. But prior to that, I had become sort of a little bit of a celebrity on the Lakewood Scoop, is when the Lakewood Scoop first started. And I kind of got the Lakewood Scoop started because people were going on there every day to see, okay, what did he say today that's going to cause problems. But again, I wasn't trying to cause any problems. I just wanted to prevent what we see now.
You were speaking your mind.
Yeah, and if I had $1 for every person that comes up to me now and says, "Oh my God, if we would have just listened to you and made sure to vote you in 13 years ago, we wouldn't be experiencing what we're having now." Because if you look at the videos on YouTube, my old videos, you see I got up there and I said, all we're going to end up having is higher taxes, more traffic, less services, and we're going to have a lower quality of life. So why are you doing this? It just doesn't make any sense. Everything has to be done with a thought process. You can't just go and build. You see other towns where they build developments, but before they build those developments, they make sure they have commercial ratables to pay for those developments, because when you build a development, you're going to need more schools, you're going to need synagogues, you're going to need churches, whatever you're building it for, you're going to need things that are not paying taxes,
right.
And then if you have, for example, special needs children, all you need to do, if you build a development with 300 homes, and out of those 300 homes you have just 10 children with special needs, and each of those children costs us $200,000 a year for special needs services, you just erased your entire tax bill once you pay for garbage removal and snow and all that. But they're not thinking that way. They're just saying, oh, somebody wants to build 300 homes, let them build 300 homes.
So you're saying they're just pushing permits through?
Well, yeah, it's not just that. It's just they're not thinking ahead of time. They're not thinking, and the same thing with the traffic. They're not thinking, okay, we're going to put 1,000 homes here. Well, where are these cars going? And how are they getting around?
Aren't there studies that need to be done by the state?
There are studies, and I've seen traffic studies done that were, like, for example, I remember I was at one meeting where we were discussing, because I have a business in the downtown, and that was my pet project. I felt that the downtown was kind of a diamond in the rough, and it really could have been polished up and made beautiful, and we have it. It's here already, so you have to do something with it. You can't just ignore it, and that's what they did. So at the time, I was promoting and trying to get the downtown fixed up, and I had worked very hard to create parking lots out of dilapidated houses. We knocked down some dilapidated houses, rooming houses, one that had a fire in it and was burnt down. We knocked those down. We created parking lots that connected, so we can have, like in other towns, they have parking that connects one to the other. And,
who was living in those rooming houses? It
was just rooming houses. People, for homeless people.
Where'd they go?
What do you mean, where did they go?
I mean, if they were displaced,
the one that we took down had been closed for 3 years already. It had a big fire. So it was just sitting there dilapidated. And we had a bunch of dilapidated old housing that the township bought. I was involved in buying one of them to create, parking. I don't know if people are familiar with the downtown, but there's the Bagel Nosh parking lot. There's a big store called Bagel Nosh across the street from the municipal building. So we connected that parking lot to the 3rd Street, which is where my toy store is, which is also my toy store. I bought that. I didn't make a toy store because I wanted a toy store so much. There was a crack house in the middle of downtown. And when I say there was a crack house in the middle of downtown, it was an actual crack house. And I decided, what could this town use? And I said, you know what, we need a world-class toy store. And I built an 11,000 square foot, one-of-a-kind, world-class toy store, but unfortunately it's in the downtown. So, and I do have a lot of customers that are outside the community that come from Sayreville. They come from, as far as Sayreville, or from Freehold, or from Howell, and they all tell me that, why are you here? Like, it just doesn't make sense. But I built the store in order to help develop the downtown. So I'm going off on a tangent, I'm sorry. So when I went to one of the meetings, they had a guy there for a traffic study, and they were talking about building something that was going to affect the parking that we had just worked so hard to put in. And he said, oh, there's plenty of parking. And he showed a picture of the empty parking lot. And I said, when was that photo taken? And he said, Friday afternoon at 6 o'clock, which was already the Sabbath, after hours. That's what I'm saying. So they do traffic studies, but they're not real traffic studies. And they're told what to say. They're told by the developers what to say. And it's the same thing with the planners. They're told what to say. If you watch the videos, I confront these planners and ask them, if they really do believe in what they're saying. Because any decent planner who would come into Lakewood and sit in an hour of traffic to go 1 mile, which is unconscionable. It doesn't make any sense. No, but it doesn't make any sense. Like, you can go to any town, any city, even Manhattan, unless something really bad happens, you're not sitting in traffic for an hour to go 1 mile. It's not doable. It's not livable.
So if you got on the council, how would you find a solution for that?
So at this point, which a lot of people are telling me, they're saying, why are you bothering? Because it's too late. It's over, and you tried, and you failed.
Development has happened,
and it happened, right. But the answer is that when you're trying to fix something, if you have a flood in your house, what's the first thing you do? you turn off the water. So, and I'm not saying that we have to like say, okay, that's it, we're not building anything anymore, we're not doing it, but everything has to be done with, you know, with forethought. We have to make sure that everything's done correctly.
But how do we deal with what's here already, the traffic and everything else?
So one of the ideas that I put forth was, you know, of course we're gonna slow down development if we can, and we can. I think we can, and then the first thing we're going to do is like you said, you can get traffic studies done. Traffic studies are really a waste of time. You have people who drive these roads on a daily basis. They know every turn. They know every little place you can go to get away from traffic. They know they're sitting there looking at the street all day and saying, well, if they would just have a left turning lane over here, it would solve the problem. So we need to make a forum. We need to have an open forum where people can come and present their ideas in their areas where they drive and say, look, there's a problem over here, there's a problem on Pine Street and Route 9, there's a problem on Route 70 and Airport Road, there's a problem here, and then bring it to the traffic and safety and present it to traffic and safety and see what can be done to fix those things. And it has happened, but it takes forever for anything to happen. People tell me all the time, like I told them if they would just put a stop sign over here, it would slow down the traffic, and it takes forever to get it done.
And then a lot of the roads are state roads, so you can't really do them
so the state
locally.
Roads need to be,
You have to get the state involved.
Right, exactly.
You mentioned the VOD. Can you tell me what that is and how it works?
So the VOD, for many, many years, you know, when the Lakewood community was smaller, there was mainly one rabbi who was a little bit, I guess, politically savvy, and he would tell the people who to vote for that he knew were going to be, you know, give an ear to the Jewish community. But of course, this is when the Jewish community was small. And as the Jewish community grew, they had their politicians that they worked with, that they needed. I'm not going to say favors for, you know, selfish favors. These were favors that were needed in order to, you know, make sure that the community is served correctly. Whether it's...
You're talking about the Jewish community now, or the community at large?
The Jewish community. Again, because we were just a small percentage of Lakewood as a whole. So if it had something to do with, let's say, cars going down a road where someone built a school, and they needed to make sure that the cars were slowed down so that they should put up a stop sign or something, that we wouldn't get ignored for important. And these were very important things, and he did a lot for the community.
And does this still happen now that the community is larger?
So he was kind of the guy to tell us who to vote for. But unfortunately, you know, it blossomed into a lot of people joining with him for specific favors that hurt the community eventually. And there were other people who got involved that, again, you know, would tell people to vote for certain people that were not really helping everyone in the community. They were helping specific people.
Okay.
So I used to joke around, like when I would go into the inspection department for something, to talk to them about something, I'd say, can you please help me? I know I'm not one of the 15 important people in the town, but can you please help me anyway? So that was a little...
So then there was like a three-tier thing, kind of, because you had the 15 important people, and then you had the rest of the Jewish community, and then you had the larger Lakewood community.
And you had the larger Lakewood community. Like, so that's something that I said one time I was interviewed, and they asked me what's the main problem in Lakewood, and I said the problem is that you have one portion of the community asking for favors, and then you have another portion of the community saying, hey, wait, they got a favor, I want a favor too, and then you have everybody in the middle who's not getting anything, and they're getting shortchanged. So when funding, let's say, comes into the town, and somebody needs a favor, like, I use the Blue Claws Stadium as an example, and I know that there are people who are going to say, well, the Blue Claws is a wonderful thing and it's a beautiful thing for our town. But the Blue Claws Stadium was built for $24 million, and they used UEZ money, which is Urban Enterprise Zone money, which is money that's supposed to help build businesses, fix up the community, make the community nicer. And I wanted to see that money going into the downtown area, you know, and bringing in businesses and making it something beautiful and something we could be proud of. Instead, it went, you know, I wasn't in charge, so I couldn't decide, but it bothered me that they took all the money that was coming in and spent it on one thing. And I told people that's like if you're starving to death and you're going through the desert and you show up at a cafeteria and you spend all your money on a really fancy chocolate. Like it's just ridiculous to spend all your money on one thing. And they promise, no, it's going to bring in business, and it's going to be a financial boon for the town. It's going to bring in money. And then one day, someone invited me to a budget meeting. I guess they wanted to make me feel like I'm part of the commission, part of the deciders of the town. And I just showed up saying what do I know about the budget, And I just glanced at the budget, and the first thing I saw, it said Blue Cross Stadium, and it said $24,000. And I said, they're only paying $24,000 a month rent? That doesn't make any sense. And the guy says, no, it's $24,000 a year. Whoa. So they were paying for, and this lasted for about 15 years. On their lease, they were paying we paid $24 million for the stadium. They paid nothing for the stadium. They weren't responsible for anything other than maintaining the grass, which I think they got out of that also. We paid utilities. We paid for maintenance. We paid all these things, and all they paid was $24,000. So we lost, I don't even know how much money, I'm not an accountant.
So you're saying this was the fault of what, the planning board, or?
Well, it was the fault of the politicians who, again...
Who got favors.
They gave out favors, these politicians, I don't want to name names, but people that I ran against. They did favors for certain people, and in order to do those favors, they got their favors. And their favors are the ones that cause problems in the town. Because the favors that they gave out to other people were just favors that, that you would give to, let me put it very plainly, there's the yeshiva. Everyone knows about BMG. And the truth of the matter is without BMG, Lakewood wouldn't be, I'm not saying Lakewood wouldn't be the monster that it is now. Lakewood wouldn't even be a pleasant place to live. They added so much to the community. So if let's say Harvard moved into Lakewood, right, and they asked for a favor, and they said, can you please give us a piece of land so we can build an access road to our campus, right? Would you say no? No, it doesn't make sense to say no, because you need them. They're a wonderful asset for the community. But when they have to ask for a favor, we don't have to give away, we don't have to throw out the baby with the bathwater just to give them a favor. We need to, we need to do everything correctly and fairly. So,
let me ask you a question.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You're a businessman, and you own the toy store in downtown Lakewood, and you've stated that you're busy running that business and with your family. What kind of time would you have to devote to the duties of town council?
So, well, first of all, my business is right across the street from the Township building.
So I can see you running back and forth.
Yes, I do. I used to more when I was more involved in politics. But I have plenty of time, and that's another example is that, one of the township committeemen, actually the township committeeman that ran after I ran against Bob Singer, I ran against him in the primary, and I lost by only 400 votes. So somebody was trying to push me in somehow to get into the general election right afterwards. And legally I wasn't allowed to, so somebody took my position, and that person was Isaac Ackerman, who's been on the township committee for 13 years now. And Isaac Ackerman is a committeeman who people can call him with any problem they have from any part of the community, and he answers his phone and he helps people out. Okay. So, that's the type of committeeman that he is. And I feel that the people that I'm running against, they're nice people. I know them. And I know Ray Coles as well. But they're not really the type of people that are going. I'm not saying they wouldn't help someone if they could, but they're not the type of people that people are going to call. They're not. They're just not.
Well, we'll be hearing from them on Friday. They're coming in on Friday, so they can.
No, some of them you're not hearing from. They're not coming.
Well,
just Jimmy and
Jimmy and Ray Coles are coming. So you also mentioned to me that you were associated with the real estate office here at some point. Can you tell me what that association was? Is it ongoing or?
No. At one point, I was
Are you a realtor?
No.
Oh, okay.
At one point, I just invested with a friend of mine who took over the real estate office here, and his intention was to try to get people to start moving into Leisure Village, partnering with him.
Okay.
Except for he's going to let me use his front lawn to put up a sign.
Okay. And one more question. Just have one more. What are your goals on the council specific to the senior community?
Well, one thing that I want to do right away, which is, to me, is just, it's crazy that we don't have township meetings anymore. And the senior community are probably the most people that used to show up to the township meetings. I mean, I wasn't like a regular at township meetings, but when I did go, the senior community was always there to voice their opinion. So the first thing I want to do is, and people tell me like, oh, how are you going to do it? You're just one vote. I told them, I said, when I open up my mouth and I say, this is ridiculous, why are we still doing Zoom meetings? We're the only town doing Zoom meetings. And maybe they'll start doing it now because they realize when they see this video, maybe they'll say, hey, you know what, maybe we should be having township meetings. But I will stand up and scream over and over again until we have township meetings again.
If you ever come to one of our board meetings, you can see that a lot of people here have a lot of strong opinions.
Right, and I
so
want,
that's,
and I
those
that's
are probably
what I
the
want.
people who are going to show up.
I want people to show up. I want people to come. That's what I tell people. I'm not going to solve the problems. You're going to solve the problems. We need people to come and speak up, and I'll be there to help you, but I can't solve the problems for the people. The other thing that I think is very important, and I personally feel it's very wrong. You have a lot of adult communities where people are moving in, they're coming in from Brooklyn, and this is perfectly normal for people to move, and people coming in from Brooklyn are buying their homes. But as that happens, their home values go up. And you have people who want to stay and they want to live there, but their home values go up and they get reassessed and their taxes go up. So I want to make sure that the adult communities that are being affected, that their homes are going up in value, that we have a freeze on people's homes, that they do not have to, if a person comes in...
We do. We actually, there is
already?
something called New Jersey Freeze, and there are eligibility requirements, but basically, if you have an income, I think it's below something like $97,000.
Right, but I want to make it that, right,
that,
I've heard of such a thing, but I want to make it that our township assessor knows you don't come in to the adult communities and start reassessing properties. You do when somebody's coming from outside and they're buying a new building and they're paying, like, let's say a house was selling for $100,000 and now someone comes and buys one for $500,000. Of course, you can appraise their house accordingly. But a person who's been living in their home and they've been paying the same amount of taxes, first of all, they're seniors. Where are they getting that money from? Where are they? If their taxes go up $6,000 a year, where are they making $6,000 a year?
But whether or not my house is appraised at whatever, because I met the eligibility requirements a year or two ago, my taxes are staying frozen right at that.
Right, and that's
level.
the way.
So,
it should be.
and they do have that already. We have a lot of seniors actually do have a lot of property tax programs that they can apply for and do. I hope.
Okay, but I want to make sure that as far as the assessor is concerned, that they don't make any trouble for people that might not fit the eligibility or might have a problem, taking care of it. So this way that'll solve that problem. And then the other problem is obviously that, and this is what's going to say on my sign when you're leaving Leisure Village, is that there's no reason we should be paying higher taxes, whether your taxes go up or they don't go up, but you are paying the price for overdevelopment and for less services. So we're going to address that. And we have a lot of services that the township has are going for organizations that really are taking advantage of the services, and we're all paying a price for that.
Okay. I thank you for coming in today. I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.